I'm here at the PFRA Convention with George Bozeka, the current president of the Pro Football Researchers Association. George, thanks for talking to us today.
Thanks for having me.
So you're the current president. How long have you been president of the PFRA?
Going on about a year and a half now.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, but you had other roles
Yeah,
in the.
I was assistant executive director for a number of years before that.
Okay,
So I've been on the board for a number of years and just was elected president, like I said, about a year and a half ago.
okay. How many years total have you been a member of the
I've been a
PFRA?
member nearly 14 years now.
Mm,
So
okay,
started around 2009.
okay. How many conventions have you put together for the PFRA? What is this, number 15, 20?
No, it's not that many. Let's see, I put together Cleveland, uh, and I also put together Green Bay, Buffalo, Canton, and the current convention.
Okay. How many members are there currently in the Pro Football Researchers Association?
I believe we currently have 391 members, but if you also include members that we have outside the country plus our comp members, we're nearly 5,000 or 500 members.
Okay. The PFRA also produces a magazine called the Coffin Corner.
Correct. It's a 6 times a year,
Okay.
every 2 months, and it's basically articles that are mostly written, submitted and written by our members, and they cover a wide gamut of pro football history. If you love, I always tell people if you love pro football and love the history of pro football, the Coffin Corner magazine's for you,
Okay.
and it's all part of your membership.
Now, when was the PFRA founded and by who?
It was founded in 1979, late 70s, at the Pro Football Hall of Fame by a group of, I believe it was six that were the initial sort of founders at the Hall of Fame. And it was dedicated basically to researching and writing about the history of pro football and then also disseminating that research so that we could maintain an accurate record of the history of the game.
Okay.
And that's basically been our mission since.
Okay. What does the future of the PFRA look like?
You know, we are really as a board. One of the things that we've really talked about a lot recently is how to grow our membership and grow our visibility. Um, we're a much smaller organization than our baseball counterparts, Sabre, but they have a much larger budget than we do. They have paid staff, which we don't. All of our staff, and I should say staff, it's our board, are all volunteer. So it's a little bit different, organization. So I think the one thing that we've been working on and talking about recently is, growing our membership. And, some of the ideas that we have are through, opening up chapters around the country, as Sabre has done. We have a couple of successful chapters that have been started and a couple that are in their infancy. One in Western New York that's been going for a number of years and been successful. So we see that what they're doing there as sort of a model of what we like to do all across the country.
Hmm. Now, you and your son, John, recently started the official
Yes,
PFRA podcast. How's that going?
it's going very, very well. We launched it in December. It's one of those things where podcasts is the modern technology, and it's obviously a modern way to disseminate that that history, and we feel that that's a good oral history because we've tried to interview authors, we've tried to interview a number of former players and also former coaches. So we feel that it's a good record to get them to talk about their experiences. The whole gamut, not only their experiences with football, but we like to get into things after football too, and how they got to where they are. Sometimes the after football stories are almost as interesting as the football stories. So we get into that because it shows the whole person. And I think that's something that people are interested in.
So, who are some of the people that you've interviewed so far?
Just recently, our two most recent podcasts were with Jeff Nixon, who was a defensive back with the Bills in the late 70s and early 80s. Also, we interviewed a lineman, Ed White, who was a lineman with both the Vikings and then also the Chargers. The Vikings during the Bud Grant sort of Super Bowl years, and then the Chargers during the Air Coryell years. Some of the ones that we've interviewed in the past is we've interviewed Mark Miller, who was a backup quarterback with the Browns during the Cardiac Kid years. We interviewed Coach Wayne Fonts, who coached the Detroit Lions. We've also interviewed Scott Maynard, Don Maynard's son, because obviously Don Maynard had passed, but Scott had some really great remembrances of his father and shared those with us. We've also had Blake Moore, who played for both the Packers and also the Bengals. So, we've had a gamut of people. We've also interviewed on the non-players coach side. We've interviewed John Kendall, who's the sort of the I don't know his exact title right now because I know it's sort of morphed, but he basically is sort of the chief curator at the Pro Football Hall of Fame Research Center. So we've had a good discussion with John and some of the things that they're doing recently at the Hall. And all of our podcast is part of the Sports History Network. So if people go to the Sports History Network and just go to the podcast, they can click on ours, and all of our podcasts are there for people to listen to.
Okay. Well, I must say the one with Wayne Fonts is my favorite so far.
I'm glad you enjoyed
as a
it.
Lions fan.
We actually enjoyed that one too. Wayne is
What a character.
yes, he is. Everything that you hear about him is true. So yeah, it was. I enjoyed that one too.
Okay. Now, the PFRA has also been doing book projects over the last few years. This one on the 66 Packers, the 58 Baltimore Colts, the 51 Los Angeles Rams, and the one that's coming out next year, the 64 Buffalo Bills.
Yeah. I got I actually presented the original idea to the board. I got the germ of the idea because I was at my local Barnes and Noble, and I picked up a book that Sabre had put together. They had sort of a great team series, and they did a book on the 1947 Brooklyn Dodgers, Jackie Robinson, and basically that whole story, and sort of was the germ of the idea. I actually contacted some people with Sabre that had edited that book, and they sort of told me how the projects worked for them, and they had done a number of them, and they've done a number since. So we had the idea in conjunction with our 2016 convention in Green Bay. Well, let's do the 66 Packers because it was a anniversary year. So we did that. It was successful. We did it through McFarland Publishing, and then as you said, we followed that up with the 58 Colts, the famous sudden death game with the Giants, and then the 51 Rams, which were a team that we felt maybe was a little underappreciated during the 50s, whereas most people appreciated the fact that the Browns were sort of the at the top of the mountaintop, also with the Lions. But I think a lot of people didn't remember that that Rams team was a great team, a great offensive team especially. And then we are currently working on and editing the 64 Bills, which will come out next year. And we've already chosen our next subject. It's going to be the 76 Raiders.
Now, what's unique about these books is that it's not you writing the book.
No.
You're doing a lot of the editing.
Yes.
But every player on the team is profiled.
Yes.
Every coach, the schedule is gone over, game reports for each one. But it's PFRA members who are writing the chapters on all these things.
Yeah, every book basically documents the whole season. And as you said, we do a player profile on each player, a coach profile on the coaches, ownership, the stadium that they played in. We do game summaries with full statistics. We do statistics for each game. We even do the media. We pick key members of the media and we profile them. And if we feel that there's a topic of interest in regard to the team, we'll do a chapter on that. For example, with the Rams, because they were first team to have a logo on their helmet, we did a chapter about the logo. We also try to do, in the most recent books, we try to do a chapter on the city itself and sort of look at it from sort of a cultural standpoint, and to show how the team fits in with that culturally, and what was going on in the city at that time, whether it's Baltimore or Los Angeles. We didn't do it with Green Bay because we hadn't come up with the idea. We've developed it, but we've done that with everyone, and we have a chapter in the Buffalo book that's going to be out, and so we've done that since then too. So as you said, it's a complete thing, and it's written by members. We usually put out a call for writers,
volunteers,
and then based on how many people volunteer, I then assign all the chapters, and then people send in drafts. We do editing, and then we get the final draft, and then I put the whole manuscript together and do a final edit, and then submit it to our publisher.
And each book is what, almost a 2-year project between the
Yes,
writing,
it
the
is.
editing,
It is, yeah.
until the
Yeah.
physical book comes out?
Yes, yeah, it's about a 2-year project. I like to see it be 3, and we try that sometimes, but they'll averaged about 2 years.
I've been fortunate enough to contribute
you
a couple of 1 or 2 for every, and I learned so much because I was assigned players I'd never heard of. And it was
Yes.
fascinating to go and research these
Yeah.
guys, look through old newspaper clippings
Hmm.
or whatever I could find, and these people came to life for me.
Yeah.
And so I think that's what's fascinating about this whole series is that it's just a bunch of researchers doing the research and writing
Yeah.
the chapters, and then you putting it all together and making a fine product. They've all been really good
Well,
books.
thank you. I think one of the things too I enjoy about it is sort of determining what the theme of the team is. With the Packers, I sort of felt that it was going to be about Lombardi,
Sure.
and it was. I know somebody said they were surprised I started the book with a chapter on Lombardi, but he was the Packer, so you had to start. He was the foundation of the team, and it's sort of interesting to see the personalities of each team. And there's some things that are that are sort of the same about every championship team. They all have certain qualities, but then there's also differences. But it's always interesting to see what the personality, not of the players, but what was the personality of the team itself. And
Mhm.
I think that's really fascinating because it comes out with that research and you find out, a lot of that. Like you say, we do every player, even, for the Colts, it wasn't just Unitas and Barry and Marchetti. It was
Mhm.
the most obscure
Everybody.
players. We do
Yeah.
everybody.
Yeah.
So yeah, so because we feel every player is important.
Mm. How can somebody join the PFRA?
They can join through our membership page. If you look at our homepage, there's a spot on there where you can click to join. It's $35 for United States members, $40 for Canada, and I believe $45 for international members. And we do have a number of international members, which we're really happy about. We're,
Okay.
we're actually can call ourselves a worldwide organization.
And so we're going to put all that information in our uh,
Yeah, that'd be great.
in
Yeah.
the notes on this video.
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah.
profootballresearchers.org.
ProFootballResearchers.org. Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
excellent. George, thanks for talking to us today. It's been another great convention. Can't wait for 2 years from now when we have another one. But thanks for talking to us and for shedding some light on what the Pro Football Researchers Association is all about. And hopefully we'll get some new members here pretty soon.
Thank you. Thanks, Randy.